You're listening to Language Nerds Do Earth, the podcast about linguistics, culture, travel, and how they're all connected. Now, it's time for your language nerd hosts. One in China, one in Spain. It's Patrice and Rachel.
Hello everyone, I'm Patrice.
And I'm Rachel.
And welcome to Language Nerds Do Earth. This is episode number 14.
And today we are talking about getting sick while traveling. Hilarious.
So first we're going to talk about some of the best hospitals in the world outside the US, just like as a little fun intro to a super depressing topic. And then we'll talk about what to expect from hospitals abroad, and then some advice for getting sick when you're traveling, and precautions to take for when it happens.
Yeah. So, should have some pretty good information for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we have some language news.
Yeah. Also something fun before a super depressing topic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We found an article that gives you all the ways to say cheese in front of a camera around the world.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, when I first started reading this, I actually thought that it was literally cheese. And I was like, kimchi is nothing like cheese.
Yeah. Whoever wrote this totally screwed it up.
Like, they're not even similar. One's cabbage and one is dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a momentary brain lapse.
They are both fermented, so.
True.
Yeah, so we have a little list. One, like Rachel said, it's really cute. It's Korean kimchi. Yeah, they'll go, 하나, 둘, 셋. Like 1, 2, 3. Kimchi, and then they'll hold up two fingers in the peace sign.
Yeah. People said this all the time. This one's so real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very real. We can both attest to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that was the thing, but it's so funny that it's kimchi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is, because, like, if you know what kimchi tastes like, it's good, but it's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah.
When you first eat kimchi, it's like, why would people eat this? And then, like, comparing that to cheese would boggle your mind. Yeah,
and actually I thought it was interesting how long this word has been in use in that context. Cheese, that is. And it goes back at least to the 1940s. So, yeah, apparently there was a U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union who said the way he got a perfect smile in a picture was just saying cheese.
Huh. Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's a smart man. He has no idea what he started, I'm sure.
Oh my god, a worldwide movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get the perfect smile in a picture?
I'm flawless in pictures always,
so
I don't have to try.
Wow, that must be nice.
It's amazing, actually. I don't know life any other way.
People complain about this, something totally foreign to me. They don't love their pictures.
I'm sure somebody who's listening has a terrible picture of me and they're going to send it. Send it and be like, this is not a good picture.
You are not flawless.
Have you seen How I Met Your Mother, where Barney, like, anytime he takes a picture, even if he's, like, sneezing or, like, asleep, every time he looks perfect?
Oh, yeah, I think I have seen that one.
That's me.
Yeah. Well, we learned something new about Rachel today. That's great.
This took a really weird tangent, but anyway.
All right, another way to say cheese.
In Spain, they say patata, like potato.
That doesn't cause me to smile. Patata. Patata.
Not at all. Patata.
Like that.
I mean, it just says it's super American. But anyway, it's like your mouth is just like there. It's not smiling at all.
Yeah. Yeah, not at all. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Do they do it kind of the same way? Like, patata?
I think so. It's like one of those ones I think that I've heard it, but I can't really, like, say for sure.
Yeah. I haven't really seen what people do in China either. They had, like, eat our son, like 1, 2, 3 in Chinese, but I haven't really seen it here.
Okay.
So we'll have to be on the lookout for that. Report back for episode 15. I love this one. I definitely haven't seen it in Germany, but it's Ameisen Scheiße. So ant poop. The expletive for that.
That's funny. Well, it's funny because a lot of the countries in the article have food. It's like saying different foods.
Germans.
Just cheese. And like in Denmark it says the fruit orange Appelsin.
Right.
Potato.
Mm-hmm.
We've got
cabbage in Bulgaria.
Yeah. And some other Slavic languages using their word for cheese, which is like sir.
Yeah, sir in Russian.
Yeah, the Russian word sir, which also means cheese.
Oh, Catalonia's different.
Yeah, was the name Luis?
Or Luis.
Yeah, I never know.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. It's not y sound. The double L just is a regular L sound in Catalonia.
Okay.
Luis.
I was reading some of the comments, and people were saying, like, this one I have never heard, or whatever, but...
Okay. Well...
In any case, it's fun to think about.
Yeah, definitely. The one in Italy, sorridi, smile. That one's cute. Sorridi.
Yeah.
That one, like, would cause me to smile. Italian makes me smile in general.
Yeah, most of the... Well... Not all of them, but a lot of them have that, like, long E sound, like E, which is, like, a smiling sound, except for in Spain, patata, I mean.
Whatever.
Whatever, Spain. I think there were a couple others that had ones that were kind of different, but, yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, so if you want to read that article, you can go check out our show notes and see the rest of them.
Yeah.
Super fun little article.
Yeah.
So, okay, shall we move on to our main topic, Rachel?
Let's do it.
Yeah. I will preface this by saying that I have a lot of experience in foreign hospitals. And my dear mother, who listens to this show, as soon as we release them every week, Mom, just a caveat, you might get a little PTSD from this episode, so you don't have to listen to it. Everybody, I'm fine now, but I'll bring my experience in, because I'm a bit of a hospital connoisseur. So, first, let's talk about where you might be lucky to need to go to the hospital abroad.
This was a term that I wasn't familiar with.
Oh, yeah? Medical tourism?
Yeah, medical tourism.
Oh, yeah. It's a big thing. I got my LASIK surgery done in Korea, and it was a lot cheaper there than it would have been in the U.S.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I've heard of people doing it, but I just have never heard the term, and it's really funny to me.
Yeah. I like it too. I mean, you've probably heard those things that are like, if you need a heart operation in the U.S., which is like $200,000 or something crazy like that, like you could fly to Spain, stay in like a first-rate hospital, get the procedure done, recover, stay in Spain for a year, and fly back to the U.S., and that would cost less than the cost of the operation alone in the U.S.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure I'm not exaggerating, too.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. So yeah, we have a list of some hospitals that people go all over the world, specifically for their treatment. And one is the Prince Court Medical Center in Kuala Lumpur, which is known for its burn unit and its IVF department. Apparently their IVF department is top-notch.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If anyone's thinking about getting IVF, I don't know. Maybe fly out there and you might as well enjoy yourself at the same time.
Right, yeah. Come see me. I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
All right.
The next one that we have is Fortis Hospital in Bangalore, India. And that's good for orthopedic procedures, like hip replacement, something like that. I feel like it might be hard to get to India if you need to have a hip replacement. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good point, Rachel. Like, when you don't have a hip that works very well and you need to get on a plane, fly to India, probably do a few stopovers, and then go to the hospital from the airport, there might not be a lot of handicap-friendly places,
for sure.
Because that's something that you might get used to in Western countries, but a lot of places don't have very handicap-accessible areas. So
I think particularly in the United States, people are really used to it.
Yes, very true.
Even in Europe, like, a lot of places just are inaccessible.
Yeah. Oridul Spine Hospital in Seoul, Korea is apparently a world leader in spine medical treatment. And I was going to say, speaking of places that don't have very good access for people who are disabled, Korea is definitely one of them. I broke my ankle when we were living in Korea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was just like on crutches for 8 weeks. And my shoulders got super strong.
Yeah, I bet.
I was going up and down stairs. Yeah.
Wow.
All the time.
Wow. I mean, even in Spain, like, actually, one thing that I noticed when I had lived here for a little while was, I won't say most, but at least half of the metro stations, like, don't have anything, like, only stairs. Like,
oh, really?
Not even an escalator.
Damn.
Yeah, like, the one where I live now the one where I live now has an escalator. But the one where I used to live was like, I don't know, 80 stairs.
Jesus.
And no escalator.
Oh my God.
And I was just thinking, like, what if you're in a wheelchair? What do you do? Like, you can't take that stop, you know?
Yeah. That's one nice thing about Shenzhen is every stop has an elevator with its own security checkpoint. And then, like, there are escalators everywhere, too. And when an escalator's not working, I'm like, oh, I have to walk upstairs.
Spoiled.
Yeah, I'm totally spoiled.
Yeah, okay, so another one that's good is Bumrungrad in Bangkok.
Bumrungrad!
You want to talk about that one?
I've been there. I liked it. They were really nice. They did a good job. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was in Bumrungrad for about a week, and I had an intestinal obstruction. And for the first few days, they really tried to drain my stomach through an NG tube and kind of like make the obstruction stop with a lot of non-invasive techniques. But eventually they were like, yeah, we need to do surgery. And the surgeon came up to me on Saturday night. He goes, we need to do surgery. And I was like, yeah, I know that. When? And he was like, now?
Oh, wow.
I was like, yep, let's do it. Yeah. But it was great. And I recovered super fast. I think I was out by Tuesday or Wednesday, and it was split down the middle. They cut me from rib cage to below my belly button.
Oh, wow.
And they did a good job. So
that's awesome. Yeah. At least you had a good experience there.
Yeah. There were a lot of people there from all over the world. I've been to Cleveland Clinic, and it was definitely comparable.
Okay.
I would say it's the same quality as Cleveland Clinic.
That's great.
The last one we have is the Asian Heart Institute in Mumbai. So, yeah, this one was really cool, I thought.
Yeah, so it's one of the few centers in the world that's doing nearly 100% of bypass surgeries on a beating heart, with a very significant percentage using total arterial grafting.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
But it sounded impressive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a really low surgical mortality of 0.26%, so that's good.
Yeah, that's really good on their isolated bypass surgeries, apparently.
Right. An overall mortality of 0.8%, which is still good, less than 1%. So
yeah, that's great, yeah. Yeah, apparently they perform some of the world's most challenging and rare cases. So if you need a heart bypass, you know where to go. Mumbai,
yeah. Obviously.
I don't know how you're going to get there with heart problems, but you know what?
Yeah, it could be tricky. That's the only thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem with medical tourism, I guess. But I will say, like, as somebody who's traveled with, like, real problems, when you're flying incapacitated, airports will do a really good job of getting you from point A to point B without you having to do much work.
Okay.
Yeah, I've needed to take a wheelchair around the hospital, and we got to the hospital, and I was like, I need a wheelchair, and so they brought me a wheelchair, and I sat in it, and then like somebody wheels you through, somebody pushes you through security, you get to pass the line, somebody pushes you through customs, you get to pass the line, and then like onto the airplane. If there's like the outdoor stairs going onto the airplane, you get your own little truck that like picks you up into the air and puts you onto the airplane.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and like somebody will take you from one gate to the next. It's pretty sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the good part about having a medical issue.
People will be super understanding when you're not feeling well. So, like, just so nobody thinks that I'm, like, a drug addict or something, I'll just kind of tell you what's going on. So, when I was a teenager, I had something called ulcerative colitis, which, if you haven't heard of it, is just basically a really bad inflammation of the large intestine. And I had to have a lot of surgeries throughout my college experience, and nobody really knows why it happened, but I really wanted to go abroad while I was really sick. So to my mother's horror, when I was in college, I was like, I want to study in Germany. And right before I went to Germany, my colitis flared up really badly, but I went anyway. And then a few weeks after I got there, it got really bad, and then I had to fly home and went straight from the airport to the hospital. And then, like, just pretty much throughout my college experience, it was like, I want to go abroad. Oh, go abroad, get sick, come home. Start feeling better at home, get sick again, start feeling better, get sick again. And, so that's why I've spent so much time in hospitals, abroad and in the U.S.
Yeah, it's really, really intense.
It was pretty intense. I got really skinny.
Not the best reason.
Yeah, I laugh about it now so I don't cry, but I'm fine, really. I'm fine now.
Right, yeah. But anyway, Patrice is our in-house expert on this topic, so.
Yeah, so I'll try not to take too much of Rachel's air while we're talking about it.
Dude, this is your topic. I have nothing to add.
Yeah, well, it's good. I'd be grateful that you have nothing to add.
Yeah.
So that kind of is a good lead into our next part of the show, which is dealing with hospitals abroad. So in most cases, hospitals abroad are going to be safe. Yeah. You're better off going to a foreign hospital than avoiding it and hiding in your hotel room and suffering, basically.
For sure. And I mean, especially if you have some kind of, like, urgent thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you, like, stab yourself with a knife by accident or, I don't know why. Or you...
Oh no! I didn't mean to.
I'm bleeding out now, but...
Yeah, or if you get in like a motorcycle crash, like
I
that
was going to
happens
say
a
that
lot.
actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was going to be my next example.
Yeah.
A motorcycle accident, or maybe you get food poisoning or something like that, and you are dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been to 2 slightly sketchy hospitals before, but you know what? I'm glad I went to them.
Yeah. Did you stay there for a while, or?
Yes, one of them I did. Actually, I don't know if I should say it's sketchy, but I was studying abroad in Dresden.
Uh-huh.
And Dresden is in former East Germany. So I was in like a Soviet-era hospital for a week. And actually, I remember going there for an appointment one time, and for some reason the person I was in the elevator with was like, "Oh, Hitler rode in this elevator." It was like, great.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so I was in the gastroenterology ward of this hospital, and I spent a week there. And think about a gastroenterology ward. What is there going to be a lot of people needing the bathroom?
Yeah.
But guess what? Our rooms didn't have bathrooms.
Perfect.
Yeah. And there was, I don't know if you could call it a semi-private room, because I had a roommate and there wasn't even like a curtain between us. It was just like me and this 80-year-old woman in this hospital room. And usually in the US, an IV machine will be hooked up to the wall and it'll make this nice little beeping sound, and it's electric. But my IV machine was just like gravity.
Okay.
But I remember getting up several times a night to go to the bathroom, at least. And it was February in former Eastern Germany, and they kept the windows open in the bathroom just to air them out. And it was like below freezing in the bathroom.
Oh my god. That's terrible.
I have 0 body fat because I'm so sick, and I'm in the bath. Eventually I just started closing the windows when I got in there for the first time in the night. Like, yeah. But there were 2 bathrooms on this floor for like 30 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe time for a remodel.
Yeah, a little upgrade. I think they were about to start building like the new ward. So, and this was in 2008. I'm sure that if you happen to be in Dresden and need some kind of emergency bowel surgery, you're probably going to be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an experience.
Yep. Yeah. Next, one thing that I will say is hospitals abroad are going to be infinitely cheaper than in the US.
Yeah.
So,
like your example of living for a year, yeah?
Yeah. I had like social health insurance because I was a student in Germany, but the cost of 1 week in the hospital was like 80 euros.
No way.
Yeah, right?
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I have private insurance here, but it's crazy to me that, like, whenever I have been to the doctor, it's just like, I think the first time I went, I was like, I finished the appointment and I was like, okay, who do I pay? And they're like, leave. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do I pay? And they're like, you don't pay anything. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing to me too.
Pretty
like,
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I pay $30 a month, you know? It's not some exorbitant fee.
Jeez. That's crazy.
I
can't
go
believe...
like unlimited to the doctor.
Oh my god.
And to the dentist I can go. Not unlimited, but
Yeah. Yeah, like that is something. I have a friend actually, Katarina, she did a Lost in Translation moment a few weeks ago. She had a sinus infection in the US, and she wrote a blog post about it, which I guess I can link to. It was in German, so I've actually thought about translating it because it was so good. She was like, in Germany, you go to the doctor takes their time, And then they, like, kind of give you some recommendations for your lifestyle and a prescription. And then she went through this experience in the US, and she was like, what is a copay? I'm sorry, what? How many forms do I have to fill out before I see a doctor? And the doctor spends, 3 minutes with me, and they're like, okay, you have a sinus infection. Here's, a prescription for steroids, and, a sleeping pill so you can sleep better. She just couldn't believe, the cost and the amount of drugs involved.
Yeah.
Especially, what you were saying, in Germany, you go to the doctor, you get a prescription, you get your medicine, and there's no, exchange of money.
Right. Yeah, I was also shocked the first time that I, picked up my prescription medicine that I had been to. It was the same day that I, was told that I didn't have to pay anything. And so I went to the pharmacy around the corner, gave them my prescription, and I thought I had Well, actually, I did misunderstand. I thought he said 13 euros. I was like, 13 euros? That's so cheap. And then it turns out he said 3 euros, it was something like 212 or something for 25 days of medicine.
Wow. What is that?
It was incredibly cheap. And
yeah. Wow.
So I guess that's my only experience with going to the doctor.
That's good though. That you had a good experience in your only time too.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, you aren't gonna get the kind of pain medications abroad that you will in the US.
Right.
Even in the hospital, in the US, I've always had a morphine drip or a Demerol drip. And then after, when they take you off of that, they give you Percocet. I'm talking about major operations. But when I've been abroad, I've had to ask for a pain pill usually. Mm-hmm. They would give me pain pills pretty quickly after an operation instead of the morphine drip. I think the morphine drip was for a day, but it was not as automatic. So there's just less of a push of drugs.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think in the US, the pharmaceutical companies want to make sure that you spend as much money as possible on their medications.
Yeah, I think so too. So now we've got some advice for getting sick on vacation.
Yes. And precautions that you can take to make the experience as seamless as possible.
Good. So get the right vaccines. You want to research where you're going.
Yeah.
You should be able, pull up Google and type in the country that you're going to, vaccines. And yeah, so you can find information on CDC website or a bunch of different ones. Passport Health USA. I thought it's Heal the USA.
Oh. Okay, Passport Health USA. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, you should be able to find those fairly easily.
Yeah.
You can also do a quick Google search to figure out if the place you're traveling has water that's safe to drink from the tap. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, going back to episode 5, that you can get a cheap little water purifier.
Yeah.
And purify the water yourself.
Right. And I think the SteriPen is going to be released later this year, right?
I think so, yeah.
No, we are not sponsored by SteriPen, but there's a Kickstarter campaign for this really cool pen that sterilizes water. So if you want to know more about it, go check out episode 5.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated. This is a big one, especially for me.
Yeah.
Because I always forget.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of water in general, you do have to drink it. So don't be in a situation where you're super dehydrated and your only option is unsafe tap water.
Yeah, I have this problem too, and I think it can be hard, but I think taking a water bottle or something like that with you, at least for me, it kind of reminds me to drink it.
Yeah.
Especially because if I'm carrying it, it's very heavy, and then I want to get rid of the weight, and then I end up drinking water.
Yeah, that's a good motivation. Oh, this is so annoying. I'll just put it in my body.
Yeah, especially when you're flying too, because
Mm-hmm.
when you're flying, you have, what is it about flying that dehydrates you? Oh yeah, the circulated air.
Yeah, it's that, and isn't it also the pressure or something like that?
Yeah, the artificial pressure, and yeah, just flying is hard on your body in general, so staying hydrated is always important. I still like to have a glass of wine when I'm in the air, but I try to remember to also supplement with lots of water.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the flight attendants are going to be annoyed that you keep asking for water, but you know what? You gotta take care of you, man.
Yeah. And this is another time, like, if you bring, like, a empty water bottle to the airport, and then you can fill it up in the bathroom or something, and then you at least have, like, however much water. Like, my water bottle is a liter. So you have at least a liter of water plus whatever they bring you during the flight.
That's good. That's a good
That
idea.
always gives me peace of mind. Because I think you can, like, it's a crazy amount of water that you lose.
While you're flying?
Yeah, in a 10-hour flight, men can lose approximately 2 liters of water.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a super important statistic that I think more people need to know about, including myself.
And women, it says 1.6 liters. So
Damn.
that's a fairly long flight, but yeah, that's why I like to have at least a liter of water, because then I try to drink it in that time.
That's a really good idea. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Also, like, I don't love hand sanitizer, but I do try to use it when I'm traveling.
Okay.
Like, here in China, too, I'm around little kids, so I use hand sanitizer at least, like, once a day. Just, I think it probably makes a difference. It definitely helps me feel better about the way my hands feel.
That's important, too.
So, and, like, if you're in a plane, you're going to be surrounded by lots of germs.
Yeah. And get lots of sleep, because it's already stressful traveling sometimes, and your body is under a lot of stress, and changing time zones a lot of times, and your body really needs that recharge. So don't just, like, go like you're on steroids or something.
Yeah, like your mom.
Yeah, like my mom. Unless you're, like, 1% of the population, like my mom, who doesn't need to, like, sleep, then you should, like, take care of yourself.
Yeah, I mentioned Rachel's mom because in episode 8, we interviewed our moms, and Rachel's mom had a lot of really great stories about traveling mishaps, really.
But yeah, she's, like, got a crazy amount of energy, and
yeah, she's quite impressive, I have to say.
Yeah, she needs to sleep, like, 3 or 4 hours a night, and that's it.
Yeah. Wow.
Not me.
Yeah. You didn't inherit that from her.
No, I did not.
Yeah. Another piece of advice is to bring medication for something that you know you might get, like if you tend to get acid reflux when you eat certain kind of food, or just bring that Tums or whatever you take for it. If you, sorry to say it, but if you get yeast infections really easily, bring that antibiotic so that you don't have to suffer through it.
Yeah, this one's applicable to me for sure. If you have fair skin and you get sunburns a lot, definitely bring sunscreen. Also bring aloe. I never travel anywhere without my aloe.
Yeah.
And actually, sunscreen is good for everyone. It doesn't have to be for light-skinned people.
Definitely.
Wear sunscreen.
Yeah, Seth too is super fair-skinned, and he gets sunburned so easily. I remember we were in Puerto Rico doing a scuba dive, and in between dives, we were talking to the instructor for like half an hour in the sun, and he just, like, for the rest of the trip, he was just totally cooked.
Lobster.
Poor guy.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And if you tend to get, like, skin infections, just also bring Neosporin or Bactroban or whatever you need for it.
And always bring, like, a little something, at least, you know, like ibuprofen or,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
you know, Band-Aids in case you get blisters or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it doesn't always have to be like an emergency, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, trying to take care of yourself and make sure you have the most fun possible.
Exactly. Yeah. And the last piece of advice we have is travel insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I think I used something called Worldwide Nomads, and they have something where you can be airlifted out of the country if you're in real trouble. So,
Okay.
and I mean, travel insurance, like there are different degrees of it. Like you can get just basic travel insurance when you buy your flight, for example.
Yeah.
But if you're going on a longer trip, especially, it's sometimes good to get travel insurance that's going to reimburse you for any kind of emergency when you're on vacation or whatever. It was really good for me because I had another obstruction, different time, in Vietnam. So one day I was at the beach in Vietnam and a wave hit me really hard in the stomach, and like a few hours later I realized that my intestines weren't moving. And it just got worse and worse. So when your intestines don't move, you start throwing up, and eventually you start throwing up like bile when your stomach starts emptying and your intestines empty. And so I went to the hospital in the middle of Vietnam. It's in this little town called Nha Trang, where there are a lot of Russian tourists, oddly. And at the hospital, they were like, oh, this is just a drunk tourist, like, go home. And I was like, no. Because I was just throwing up, and they were like, oh, you're fine. So I called the health insurance from the hotel, because I didn't know why I was having an obstruction. They were like, oh, you know, did you have like a blow to your stomach at some point today? And I was like, yeah, I did get hit in the stomach with a wave. And they were like, well, okay, so here are your options. There's this hospital near you. And they were like making preparations to get me airlifted out of there, actually, because it was really dangerous. You can't have an obstruction for more than 24 hours. It's really bad for you. So I didn't end up getting airlifted, but I did give them my credit card information so that they could book the flights for me out of that area. So they were like, okay, you're going to be on this plane at this time in like 5 hours. So just make sure you get to the airport. And they emailed me all the information. So that was really helpful.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have personal experience with that aspect of insurance.
Yeah, so I will say, like, and it's not expensive either. I don't remember how much it cost, but it's definitely worth it, especially if you have an underlying condition, or I forgot what they called it, but if you're planning on going bungee jumping or skydiving or like riding motorcycles, I think they call it like sports condition or something, extreme sports. Just in that case, like you might consider getting insurance just in case something happens. And you're not totally alone when it happens. I think that's a big part of it, but also you might be able to be reimbursed for a stay in the hospital.
That makes sense. I know you might want to check with your insurance at home, because some insurances do cover things like visits to doctors or hospitals abroad. So you might also check into that.
That's very true, yeah. After I spent a week in the Bangkok hospital, I think the cost for that week was $10,000. And our insurance did reimburse us in the U.S. for it, except for the cost of the room. They paid for everything.
Great.
Yeah.
Did you have to pay up front then?
I think, yeah, like it was just charged to a credit card. And then we did have to like fight the insurance to get it. They were like, oh, no, we won't pay for this because it was an elective procedure. No, it wasn't, guys. There's so much terrible, terrible bureaucracy crap that goes on in health insurance.
True. Well, actually, I think there's one more thing, right?
Oh, yeah?
If you have a medical complication in your history, bring your records so that people will be able to access it in case of an emergency.
Oh, yeah. That is good advice.
It's your advice.
Thanks for remembering it, Rachel.
No, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Just at least keep a copy of it, and
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I have definitely used it. Probably even better would be to like put it on a USB stick, because then you can just like hand it to them like, here are my records.
Yes. Here's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one, I think.
Cool.
And so now it's time for our Lost in Translation.
All right. This week we have a Lost in Translation moment from Zaher, who will actually also be making an appearance on the show next week. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, I'm excited to hear this.
Okay, my name is Zahir Ali, and this is me being lost in translation. So, I went to a bar with two of my closest friends last year. Just a rock bar, we had a few drinks, and we were there just taking in the music. And suddenly, at a certain point, people start to flood the place up. So, more people came in, and this girl and her friend appeared next to us, like wild Pokemon. And more people came in over the course of the night, and we started getting shoved and bustled a little bit. And this girl looks at me, and she just goes, "Tienes mala leche," which the expression in Spanish, it translates to, you're in a bad mood, you're not having a good time. And I looked at her and I was like, "No, estoy bien, I'm okay, no problem." A little while later, it happened again. She's like, "Oh, tienes mala leche," and she said this to me with a smile on her face. She's a pretty girl, right? But I was with someone at the time, I had no interest, I was just like, please leave me alone. Estoy bien. And, so they kept doing their thing, we kept doing our thing, I was just sitting there, rocking out to the music. And then a little while later, it happened again. And she said to me, "Tienes mala leche." And I looked at her, and I was like, no, mi leche está bien. Which, what I wanted to say was, "No, I'm fine, don't worry." What I actually said was, "No, my sperm is good." So, don't ever say that if you're in a Spanish bar or a club.
Oh, tienes mala leche. Wow. Do you hear that used a lot in Spain? Tienes mala leche.
I've heard it, yeah. But I actually remember when this happened, like, we were in Spanish class together at the time, and he ended up talking about it, and our teacher was like, "What?"
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder why the girl kept saying, "Tienes mala leche, tienes mala leche." Sounds like...
I guess he had like a resting.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
Mala leche. A resting mala leche face.
Yeah. Just like, maybe it wasn't that fun of a place.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Well, thank you so much, Zaher, for your story.
Yeah, that was super funny.
Yeah, and it's definitely super useful for people who are in Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mi leche está bien. Cool. Okay, so let us know what you think. We'd love to hear any experience that you have from getting sick while traveling. Or just, with hospitals in general.
Right. And send us your Lost in Translation moment. You can send it on our website via the voice recorder, or just send us a voice memo or type out a message in the contact section.
Yeah. And make sure you subscribe to our podcast to make sure that you get fresh episodes every week. We release weekly. Keep up to date.
Also follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. We like to post on there, and that way you'll be up to date with the latest language news.
Yep. And if you could please leave us a review on iTunes, that would really help people find us. The more reviews we get, the more visibility we have, and then people are more prone to see us there.
Yeah, and please tell your friends about it if you enjoyed it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, word of mouth is helpful.
For sure.
Our next episode is expat lifestyle, no?
And make sure you check out the website for any of the links we mentioned during the show.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening,